Hi everyone, I'm the plant propagator and welcome to my channel. Today it is late November and it's just a beautiful, warm, humid morning here in Southwest Florida. It is 78 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about 25 degrees Celsius. Got a little bit of a breeze. This is just a great day. Even though it's really nice and warm here today, I do want to share one thing with you before I show you some of my new blooms. And that is that I was at my local affiliated orchid chapter couple of weeks ago. And one of the things that was brought up was potential frost damage on orchids. Now, it's not even entering into your brain that this could be a possibility here just because the weather is so beautiful and so nice, but it can. And the presenter at the meeting said that if you wait for a forecast of frost, it's going to be too late to order anything that you're going to be able to use to protect your orchids from frost damage. So what was recommended is that we buy frost cloth, and I actually did, and this is the frost cloth right here. I got it from Amazon, and this is, I mean, it's, you know, it's cloth that you drape over your plants and over your orchids to protect them if they can't be brought into a protected area. So, you know, I paid attention to what I was supposed to do, and while I was sitting at the meeting, I ordered the frost cloth, but you know, it's not even I have it, and I'm good with that just in case we get something. And if we don't get any frost this year where I am, it's really unusual. You get a frost maybe every year, every other year, every third year. But in this area, it's so warm you don't have that. And some plants are a little more sensitive to it. Again, today, it's not entering into the equation at all. You know, as warm as it is, it's just 9:30 in the morning right now. So it's, you know, I'm not even thinking about it, but I thought I would share that with you just before we get started today. Anyway, just a beautiful day. What I want to do today is show you some of my blooms. I'm pretty excited because my cattleyas are going nuts. I'm seeing first blooms on a lot of my plants. I'm seeing repeat blooms on some of my plants as well. And I've got a lot of bloom spikes that are coming where you can feel the blooms in the sheath. So I'm just excited, and I don't think it's me. I think the orchids and the time of the year, it's just happening. But I'm really excited. The other thing that I'm excited about is, as I'm standing here, I've got a few plants that are just, the fragrance on them is just magnificent. It's just unbelievable. And it's nice because I can bring these plants into, they're not mounted, and I can bring these plants onto the lanai, into my house, and the fragrance is just wonderful. So it's really nice. But what I want to do is go through some of these plants with you and show you what I have and share the blooms with you. The first one is right here, and this is something that I've showed you in the past, and this is Mahina Yahiro Mashima, and this is a really nice flowering cattleya. This is one of my oldest cattleyas here, and the thing that I love about it's very prolific. It's a very consistent bloomer. So it blooms once a year at this time of the year, and I like it. I've used it in my crosses. It's weird that what I get with the seedlings of any cross that I make with this plant, I get some really unusual root formation, which it's okay. You know, you're more interested in the flowers, but you get really extensive hairy root formation when you have these things in flasks. Again, it's a little thing. I'm probably not going to use these flowers in any of my crosses right now, just because I have so many seedlings from this coming, and I want to see what it looks like. But just a really nice fragrance. The bloom time lasts a while on these guys, so the bloom lasts for maybe 3 weeks. I have some that last longer, but these are nice and these are fragrant. So this is really a great plant, and as you can see, I got a lot of blooms on it, so it's doing really well. It does need to be repotted. I'm looking in the pot here, and there's all you can see is roots, and a lot of the potting mix is either disintegrated or fallen out or something like that. I don't know. So I'm probably, and the plant's getting pretty big for the size pot that it's in, so probably gonna have to repot it. All right, so this is Mahina Yahiro Mashima is what this is. All right, I gotta put this down. I got a couple more. This is a first bloom right here. And so this is BLC Hauserman's Holiday Christmas. And this was a gift. This is the first bloom. I was gifted this plant this past year, and it's got just a huge, I don't know if you could tell on it, but the bloom in the sun, maybe it bleaches it out too much, but it's just a huge bloom. The plant itself is pretty big, so it's got really, really tall leaves. I'm not sure if I can handle this plant when it gets much bigger, because it put out, since I got this thing less than a year ago, it's put out a few new leaves, and this bloom came out of one of the new leaves. I've seen this plant in bloom at other places, and the bloom is just huge on this plant, and the plant itself is big also. I'm getting a little fragrance. The bloom isn't that old, so maybe after a little bit longer, I'll see a little bit more. There'll be a little bit more fragrance associated with it, but still, it's a big, nice, very colorful flower, and so I'm happy to have this plant, and we'll see how it goes. Again, I've just had it for a short period of time, and it seems to be doing pretty well. So thanks Regine, for this plant. It's doing well. It's got to fill in. It's got a lot more growing to do. Okay, moving on. Sorry. All right, moving on to the next plant, and you might be seeing it. Yow! You might be seeing it. So this is Booth Lee Venice, and these have smaller flowers on these bloom spikes. I've had this plant for a couple of years, and it is just starting to bloom. So it's doing pretty well. So on this plant, it's just it's got 4 spikes on it. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and they're just starting to open. The plant's gotten really big quickly. It's just not in that big of a pot. It's hanging. It's really heavy. It's in leca with just a little bit of lava stone on the bottom, as I tend to do. But this went a little crazy this year, so it is doing really well. I started to, with all the new leaves that grew out, I was trying to pull it up and make everything grow upright, but it got to the point where there was just too much, and I couldn't keep up with it. And like I said, it's just starting, so maybe in a couple weeks it will be. Let's see if I can step back so you can see the whole plant. In a couple of weeks, it'll probably be in full bloom. I didn't think this is the second bloom for me, and I didn't think that it was fragrant. I don't remember fragrance from the first bloom, and I was smelling it a little bit earlier on this morning, and I got just a little bit, but I'm not, oh, maybe, I can't tell. So there might be a real subtle fragrance here, but just a really nice plant, very prolific, small flowers, very colorful, and just happy that it's blooming. Okay, gotta get this out of the way. This is a heavy plant. I don't want it to fall over. Okay, I got a couple more for you. I'm gonna reach behind me, and I've shared this one with you before. So this is Burana Beauty, Burana, and this is a nice, really colorful, small cattleya, and this blooms all the time. This is a really nice, prolific plant. So I've had this for less than a year. It's already put out three, maybe four different bloom spikes. It's a small plant, very prolific. I don't know if you can see, there's an old bloom here, and in this old bloom I made a cross with the Cattleya ludemaniana, a cerulean form, and so we'll see what happens with that. I made another cross yesterday with I think the middle flower on this, and it hasn't really started to shrivel up yet, but as you can see, they're just really pretty flowers, and it's a very prolific plant. So I'm curious and interested to bring this into some other plants, again, because the coloration on this flower is really very nice. So it's got the right color. It's very prolific, and one of the most important things for me, this one, and I've shared this with you, it smells like roses, and I think it's a little bit, for me, it's a little bit unusual for a cattleya fragrance to have this, but it's the best way that I can describe this. So this plant's doing well. I think maybe with the seed capsules that are forming on over here and hopefully over here, it might slow down a little bit, which will be too bad. But this plant is doing real well, and I'm real happy with it. Okay, so let's move on. And I've got one more plant to show you, and this is, I'm happy to have it, but this is a mystery plant. All right, so this is a cattleya that I've had for actually quite a few years, and it is just a really nice red flower. It has some just wonderful coloration to it. There's a little bit of yellow in the throat of this plant. But the nice thing about this, the fragrance on this plant is just, it's the most intense of anything else that I have out here. The fragrance on this plant is to the point that, sorry, I'm knocking over when I'm leaning against one of my other orchids. The fragrance on this plant is so intense that it's difficult to tell when this is hanging here in my orchid growing area under my pergola. It's difficult to tell when I'm smelling the other blooms if it's from this one or one of the other ones, but it's very intense, but also very characteristic. Okay, the name of this plant, and this is where the mystery comes in, because this is the name that I have on this plant is BLC Charles Super Gold. What you can see is not much gold here. I looked it up online. I couldn't find it. I contacted because I purchased this plant such a long time ago, I contacted who I thought was the original seller, and they haven't replied. Sent them a picture of the flower. They haven't replied yet. So we'll see. I don't know what this is. The other thing on this plant is that there's another sheath right here, and you can feel there's more flowers there's another bloom spike in that sheath. So this is gonna keep on producing. Again, this is my first bloom on this plant. I've had it for a while. Maybe it doesn't like the potting mix. Maybe I'm figuring out how to grow these guys, but just big, nice, really red, fragrant flowers. Not as prolific as I would like. I can't use this for crosses because it's not super gold. It's not it's not gold colored. I think it's mislabeled, and you just can't do that. So I just grow it just because it's nice, and because the fragrance is just so wonderful. Okay, so that's all I have for today. If you liked what you saw today and you want to keep on seeing my videos, it would help me out if you could click on like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you're not already a subscriber. All right, and I'm excited. I'll be doing more of the new blooms because I've got a lot. I'm so excited. I've got a lot of new blooms, first blooms on many of my orchids coming out, so I've got a lot more to share with you as we move on. All right, so that's all I have for today. Happy propagating.